Welcome back to Elevation 44. It's your girl B. If you're new to the channel, welcome. If you're returning, welcome back, family. Today I'm sitting outside again and getting in some of this beautiful fresh air and some of this beautiful energy from Mother Earth. So as I sit outside, you already know that sometimes there's noises in the background, and especially when I press record on this camera, definitely there are noises in the background. But hopefully it's not too distracting, because today I want to talk to you about Saturn retrograde, because Saturn is about to go retrograde on May 23rd. Okay, so I definitely wanted to bring you another one of these videos where we talk about the retrograde and its impact on the houses and how it's going to affect you personally. Okay, so this video is meant to be timeless information. No matter when Saturn is retrograding, no matter what year, you can come back to this video, look at this information, and definitely get something from it. Okay, now Saturn is going to be retrograding until October 10th to be exact. Okay, so like I said, Saturn retrogrades every year, and it retrogrades for about 4 to 5 months every single year. So this is definitely something we're always going to be continuously revisiting. And you know, this is retrograde season. Retrograde season. So we're going to be dealing with a lot of these energies that are, you know, kind of redirecting, so that we can take an internal view on things that are happening within us. Okay, and that's really what a retrograde is all about. It's really about a redirection of energy. When the planet is appearing to be in a forward motion, it's about the external expression of that energy. When it is in retrograde motion, which means to move backwards, it is really about redirecting the energy inward. So it's inward reflection, and all the re-words come up here: reflect, renew, reevaluate, rediscover, you know, rest, anything with that re at the begin, that re at the begin is really going to be what you're going, the action that you're going to be taking during this time. So that is what we are going to be talking about here. In large part, it's going to be a lot of those re-words that you hear coming up, and we're going to be talking about it in terms of the Saturn themes. Okay, because Saturn redirecting inward is really about a karmic balancing out. So it's all about, you know, karma getting sorted out. What kind of actions you've taken in the past, where have they gotten you? Has it been rewarding? Has it not been rewarding, based off of, you know, what you've been doing or not doing? And then also around responsibility, your lessons, hard work, self-discipline, limitations, the restrictions that you can feel, or the entrapment you can feel, delays that are happening, your foundations and your structures, especially in terms of getting things in order, because in order to move forward, you have to have a strong foundation, you have to have your ducks in order, right? And then about status and achievement, and a lot of us, you know, for career is definitely a big thing when we talk about status and achievement. Okay, so these are the Saturn themes that are going to be definitely highlighted, and you're going to see being played out as Saturn is moving through these houses in retrograde motion. Now, I will say that usually with Saturn retrogrades, individuals are usually resistant to the change, the limitations, the restrictions, the things that are internally popping up at this time. So these are things that need to happen for that internal transformation, for things to move forward. But it is something that most people are resistant to, and it is because it is hard a lot of the times to really sort through that. So the key piece of advice here is to really be easy, to allow yourself to go with the flow, and to not resist anymore, cause any more resistance to it. Okay, when Saturn also crosses over, this retrograde crosses over some of the personal planets in your natal chart. So if it's touching your Venus, if it's touching your Pluto, it's also going to cause some challenging events sometimes with the themes that those planets bring in your own individual chart, just because Saturn has that nature to restrict and oppress and to kind of bear down on everything it is coming into contact with. So definitely pay attention to any of the conversations or the things, the aspects that are happening between this Saturn retrograde and your own natal planets. Okay, so with this Saturn retrograde, let's go on ahead and talk about what Saturn is going to mean for the individual houses. And let's just get into the first house. So the first house is really the house of self, and the Saturn retrograding through the first house is really about your identity, what you have accomplished thus far, what you still want to achieve. So these are the things that are going to be popping up. This is a time of self-evaluation and planning for the things that you want to embark on. This is not necessarily the time where you put those things in motion, but this is more of the time where you're evaluating, where you're planning for those things. And then when Saturn decides to go direct, or the timing is right, that's when you push forward on it. So it's not really about doing anything, more as it is about planning, okay? So this is really about exercising your patience, letting things evolve at their own pace. That is really the key thing here with Saturn retrograding in the first house. Saturn retrograding in the second house, which is the house of, your wealth and your values. And really the emphasis here is on your values, on the values part, okay? So it's time to reevaluate what's important to you. What do you value? What is your attitude around material possessions? This is really about thinking about if you need to make changes and improvements to those things, and what lessons have you experienced that have brought you to this particular point. So that is Saturn retrograding in the second house. Saturn retrograding in the third house, and the third house is really about your communication. It's also about your siblings and your community or your immediate environment. So this is a house where, even though Saturn is known to bring in past influences no matter what, because we're talking about past actions, karmic debts, and karmic actions and everything like that, this is a house where you think a lot about the past, because a lot of past memories resurface, okay? So you'll be thinking a lot with this particular transit. You're really reflecting on who's in your immediate environment, whether it's your siblings, whether it's your community that is bringing you restrictions or maybe difficulties that you're facing, okay? So this is where you may think of, like, do you need to distance yourself from certain individuals, from certain your siblings, put distance between you and them, from your community or certain people in your community? What past incidents are coming up to teach you certain lessons around that? So that is Saturn retrograding in the third house. So Saturn retrograding in the fourth house, okay? So this is a time where you could either relocate. This is also talking about, like move or relocation, or thinking about a move or relocation. So revisiting that idea. This could also be a time of renovation of the existing home. This is a time where crisis, like a family crisis or a family relationship is at crisis, or can pop up. This is also speaks to added responsibility in the home. So these are all themes that can be popping up when Saturn is retrograding through your fourth house. Saturn retrograding through the fifth house, which is really about children, romance, fun, creativity, and all of that. This is really a review of your children. Are they bringing you more responsibility? Do you feel limited or restricted, or kind of confined in certain ways as a parent because of the responsibilities you have with them? Are you facing parenting difficulties? Do you feel that there's no time for yourself, or there's not really a good balance between your parenting and your own needs, or your individual identity and having fun? So this is a time of like rebalancing and thinking about how to rebalance that, or where these issues can pop up in order to force you in that direction. So Saturn retrograding through your sixth house, which is the house of your routines, and that could be routines related to your health or to your job, okay? So this is really reassessing your increased responsibilities, probably on the job, and perhaps the lack of recognition with those increased responsibilities. This is also looking very closely at your health. How do you manage your stress? How do you manage your diet? How do you exercise? These are things that kind of come under review during this time. This is also the house that has to do with pets and small animals. So this may be a chance where you're thinking about pet responsibility, where you can take on the added responsibility of having a pet or something like that, or any of those thoughts may come into play with pets. So that is Saturn retrograding through the 6th house. Saturn retrograding through the 7th house, and this is all about relationships, okay? And it kind of has a similar theme to some of what we talked about in the 3rd house. We're really reflecting on how much demand people place on your time or on you in general. So again, who do you need to distance yourself from that is no longer a positive influence on your life, or you feel is causing some type of restrictive nature in your particular life that you're having, issues with. So this is really about what experiences have taught you so far in your relationships and where you need to recalibrate, okay? Saturn transiting through the 8th house and retrograding through the 8th house. This is really a house that is focused on your shared resources and your debt, okay? So this is about reviewing your management of your finances, but also your debt and paying your debts down or paying them off. Where do you need to cut your budget in order to manage it better? This is also bringing shared resources under highlight. So shared income with a partner may come under stress or difficulties. So these are the things that will pop up during this transit. Saturn retrograding through the 9th house, which is about the higher mind. It's about learning, really rediscovering how you want to expand your mind. So was that through travel and new experiences? What do you need to learn, or perhaps what can you pass on or teach others? Because we have amassed along our journey through our lessons our own internal wisdom that we can then turn around and help other people with. So this is really about thinking all about that. This is also a house where legal issues can come up. So just wanted to highlight that as well. So Saturn retrograding through the 10th house. This is the house of our career, our public image. So of course, a lot of that is going to come into play during this time. So this is a time where career relocation is possible. This is also a time where you're asking yourself questions about how you've lived up to your work responsibilities. Have they played out in a successful manner for you? Have they not? Is the opposite happening? And what changes need to be made in this area for you to be on track? Saturn retrograding through the 11th house is the house of your networks. It's also the manifestation house that I like to talk about because it's connected to your hopes, your dreams, and your wishes, okay? So this is really about reconnecting because it's about your networks or your friends with the right people from the past, who are coming in to help you achieve your goals. So it's about reconnecting with those from your past. Also, thinking about how you can delegate to others or to your team, to a team, so that you are not taking things all on by yourself, because this is about your network. This is about your your friendship, your community, that type of support. So how do you get the support that you need in that regard so that you don't feel like you're shouldering it all alone? And lastly, Saturn retrograding through the 12th house, which is the house of the subconscious mind, the house of self-undoing, the house that is just so hard to decode because it's just everything that you can't see or touch. It's all hidden beneath the surface, okay? So this is where you may opt to spend a lot of time alone, honestly, under this particular transit, but it can be the most productive. When you're spending time alone, this is the most productive for you, okay? So unfinished projects, learning from the past, getting extra rest and sleep is definitely key when Saturn is retrograding through your 12th house, okay? So I hope that, this was short enough, but still, informative. Yes, not informal, informative enough to bring you all the information that you need to understand, in short, what Saturn means when it is retrograding your house, okay? So again, pay attention to the natal planets that Saturn is coming into contact with, and that will also give you an additional level of insight, all right? So I hope you learned something today. Please stay encouraged through these Saturn retrogrades, or any retrogrades for that matter, because they are here to really help us. So I know that you guys are going to get through this retrograde just like we've gotten through all the other retrogrades. So be easy on yourself and go with the flow, all right? I will see you all in the next one. Peace.